The peaceful towns and villages of Scotland, a land known for its breathtaking landscapes and warm hospitality, were shrouded in fear. A specter of dread haunted their streets. A monster lurked in the shadows, preying on the innocent. This was the chilling reality brought on by Peter Manuel, the Beast of Birkenshaw. His name became synonymous with terror, his crimes leaving an indelible stain on the nation's psyche. Manuel's reign of terror, spanning from 1956 to 1958, shattered the illusion of safety. He preyed on families, couples, and individuals, his crimes as brutal as they were arbitrary. The seemingly random nature of his attacks only amplified the fear. No one knew who would be next. The fear was palpable. Parents were afraid to let their children out of their sight. Women walked the streets in fear, clutching their handbags and looking over their shoulders. A heavy silence hung over the communities he terrorized, a silence born of fear and uncertainty. The legacy of the Beast of Birkenshaw would forever be etched in the annals of Scottish criminal history. His crimes were a stark reminder that evil could lurk even in the most idyllic of settings, forever changing the way people viewed their world. Peter Manuel's reign of terror began subtly, with petty crimes escalating to something far more sinister. In 1956, his first known murder shocked Scotland. He brutally took the life of a young woman, marking the beginning of a spree that would leave a trail of bodies in its wake. Manuel's modus operandi was chillingly efficient. He would often stalk his victims, learning their routines and exploiting vulnerabilities. His crimes weren't simply acts of violence. They were calculated and cold-blooded, leaving no room for doubt about his sinister nature. The fear escalated with each passing month. The newspapers were filled with reports of his crimes, each more horrific than the last. The public was gripped by a morbid fascination with the case, desperate for any news that might lead to his capture. Families lived in a state of constant anxiety, their homes no longer feeling like safe havens. The once familiar streets became places of dread. The Beast of Birkenshaw had cast a long shadow over Scotland, and no one knew who would be his next victim. Manuel's crimes weren't simply acts of violence, they were meticulously planned and executed, revealing a chillingly methodical mind. He often targeted homes, breaking in at night and surprising his victims in their sleep. This element of surprise became a terrifying hallmark of his crimes. He employed a variety of methods, from shootings to strangulations, each murder bearing the grim signature of his brutality. His victims ranged in age and gender, seemingly chosen at random, further fueling the public's fear and uncertainty. Manuel often took trophies from his victims, gruesome souvenirs that he would keep as mementos of his horrific deeds. These chilling tokens spoke to a mind obsessed with death, and relishing the power he held over life and death. His ability to evade capture for so long only added to his mystique and terror. He moved with a chilling ease, blending into the shadows, always one step ahead of the authorities. Each new crime brought a fresh wave of panic, as the people of Scotland realized they were dealing with a cunning and ruthless predator. The pressure on the police to catch the Beast of Birkenshaw was immense. The investigation was complex and sprawling, involving hundreds of officers following every lead, every whisper, every fleeting shadow. The public was desperate for answers, for an end to the nightmare that had gripped their nation. The breakthrough came through painstaking detective work and a stroke of luck. A witness came forward with a crucial piece of information, placing Manuel at the scene of one of the murders. This was the lead they had been waiting for, the thread that would unravel the entire case. Manuel was apprehended, but his arrest did not bring an end to the terror. He was a master manipulator, confident and arrogant, even in the face of overwhelming evidence. His trial would be a media sensation, captivating the nation and revealing the true depths of his depravity. The arrest of Peter Manuel was a cause for celebration, but it was a somber one. The scars he left on the Scottish psyche would take generations to heal. Behind the mask, delving into Manuel's psyche. What could drive a man to commit such heinous acts? The question haunted investigators and the public alike. Peter Manuel's life, upon closer examination, painted a picture of a deeply disturbed individual, shaped by a troubled childhood, and fueled by a thirst for power and control. Born in the United States to Scottish immigrant parents, Manuel displayed behavioral issues from a young age. He was prone to fits of rage and violence, often targeting animals with unsettling cruelty. These early warning signs went largely unheeded, foreshadowing the monster he would become. His criminal career began in his youth, escalating from petty theft to more serious offenses. Years spent in and out of prison only seemed to solidify his criminal tendencies, hardening him against remorse or empathy. He viewed himself as superior, above the law, and those he deemed unworthy. Experts who studied his case pointed to potential psychopathic tendencies, a lack of remorse, and a distorted sense of reality. He seemed to derive pleasure from inflicting pain and terror, his crimes fueled by a twisted need for control and dominance. The trial of Peter Manuel was a spectacle unlike any other, captivating the nation and holding the public spellbound. Charged with the murders of 8 people, Manuel chose to be his own defense attorney, a decision that would ultimately seal his fate. He relished the attention, using the courtroom as a stage to spin tales and manipulate the narrative. His arrogance and lack of remorse were on full display, further horrifying a public already reeling from his crimes. Yet, beneath the facade of confidence, cracks began to appear. In a shocking turn of events, Manuel confessed to multiple murders, detailing his crimes with chilling precision. His confession was not one of remorse, but rather a boastful recounting of his actions, a final act of control in the face of his inevitable demise. The jury's verdict was swift and unanimous. Guilty. Peter Manuel, the Beast of Birkenshaw, was sentenced to death. His reign of terror had finally come to an end, but the scars left behind would take generations to fade. On July 11, 1958, Peter Manuel met his end at the gallows of Barlinnie Prison in Glasgow. The execution marked the end of a dark chapter in Scottish history, but it did little to ease the pain and fear that had gripped the nation for over 2 years. The execution was a somber affair, witnessed by a select few. There was no last-minute reprieve, no dramatic confession, only the cold, calculated execution of justice. For the families of his victims, it brought a sense of closure, but the pain of their loss would endure. The specter of Peter Manuel continued to haunt Scotland long after his death. His crime served as a chilling reminder of the darkness that could lurk beneath the surface of everyday life, forever altering the nation's sense of security. The Beast of Birkenshaw was no more, but his legacy lived on in the memories of those who lived through his reign of terror, a cautionary tale whispered from one generation to the next. Even though Peter Manuel breathed his last in 1958, the shadow of his crimes continued to loom large over Scotland. His name became synonymous with a period of fear and uncertainty, a stark reminder that even in the most tranquil of settings, evil could flourish. The case had a profound impact on Scottish society, leading to changes in law enforcement practices and a heightened awareness of the need for criminal profiling. It also sparked a national conversation about the death penalty, with many questioning its effectiveness as a deterrent to crime. The families of Manuel's victims were left to pick up the pieces, forever haunted by the loss of their loved ones. Their stories served as a poignant reminder of the human cost of Manuel's brutality, the pain and suffering he inflicted on innocent lives. The legacy of Peter Manuel was a complex one, a mixture of horror and fascination that continued to intrigue criminologists and historians alike. His case served as a stark reminder of the dark potential that lies within humanity, and the importance of vigilance in safeguarding against those who would seek to harm. Peter Manuel's story is a chilling reminder that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they walk among us, hiding in plain sight, their true nature concealed behind a veneer of normalcy. His crimes forced Scotland to confront the darkness that can fester within the human heart. They challenged the nation's sense of security, leaving behind a legacy of fear and vigilance that would endure for generations to come. The Beast of Birkenshaw may be gone, but his story serves as a warning, a reminder that evil can take many forms, and that it is our collective responsibility to remain vigilant, to protect the innocent, and to never forget the victims of such horrific crimes. Only through remembrance can we hope to learn from the past and prevent such tragedies from happening again.